group of humans fled the field, and so they got overrun, and he swore that they'd get vengeance on them, or what's the dwarf thing? Grudge? Yeah. Grudge against that human's family. And his end goal was to get after that human family, but in order to do that, they had to defend themselves from Skaven, and fight the goblins, and then deal with this, and deal with that, and they had to deal with like a betraying group of, or invading army of greenskins, and it's just one thing after another, and I thought it was really neat. Just getting a whole dwarf overview. Not that I play dwarves or even want to play dwarves, but just more of a hobby. So I don't know if anyone's actually, well, I'm sure that lots of people have actually read in on the different lore or the background for the different armies in Warhammer Fantasy. Now, I haven't read all of them. Like, I don't know the background behind the Empire very well. I don't know the background between the lizard men or the ogres. Orcs, I'm just going to write that off as I'm sure they've been fighting the whole time. And they continue to fight. And, yeah. But I personally know, at least I've read into a lot of the High Elf and Dark Elf lore. Yes. It's really dark. Well, it's good in its own way. I love the idea of a black arc, though. The black arcs of the Dark Elves. Ships that are basically floating cities, or rather, cities that have been turned into ships, according to their own lore. When them and the High Elves first got in their spats, when Malekith wanted to be king, they ruined their island, which I'm not going to try and pronounce because I'll say it wrong. And off of that broke all of the Dark Elf cities, and they just kind of fell into the sea, and Dark Elves are such good mages that it just started floating. So they've got essentially floating cities roaming around, collecting slaves, because none of them actually know how to do anything, because they were a complete warrior caste back on the Elf homeland, still not going to try and pronounce. And so they don't know how to do anything. They just know how to fight and kill each other. So they've got to go around and collect slaves, mainly, or at least they try and take them mostly from their High Elf buddies there, raiding their shores, so that their society can even keep going. And it seems almost mind-boggling that how many slaves you would need to run everything in your society, and like it would have to be constantly gathering more and more of these slaves, because they're not treated well, as everyone can guess. Dark Elves aren't exactly like humanitarian when it comes to how well they treat the people that they stole away from a different nation and home and blah blah blah. Them and High Elves, I don't like the High Elves. I don't like them in the game. I don't like their lore. I just don't like them. They're very... In the game, there's no reason why they should get the extra attack for working together as lifelong soldiers. They have no argument, like, oh, well, they're spearmen for 15 years. I have Dark Elf guys who are commanders of Cold One units for, like, 1,500 years. And, oh, well, they don't really like each other, so they can't work together as well as the High Elves can. They can work together real well when it means killing other people, or other races, especially High Elves. We hate them. We have not only eternal hatred, but we have like super eternal hatred. We just permanently re-roll to hit those guys. Oh, and then they feel bad for us, so they don't run away. Really? Like, oh, it's so stupid. Like, bright, shiny armor, and the one fight there when Teclis became a big deal. He beats Malekith because he prays to that one Assyrian or Asserman or whatever his name is. And they get this like god shot that totally throws him, or no, Malekith actually tries to dodge it or something and runs into the waste or the chaos, or the realm of chaos. That's what he does. So he was better than Drago. He did it first. For you 40k. Oh god, Grey Knights. Don't even want to get started on Grey Knights. Actually, there's a really funny, not necessarily appropriate video out there that goes on about Drago. Yeah, it's pretty funny. I'm not going to go any more into that. But Grey Knights. Grey Knights aren't as cheesy as everyone thinks. Or says. Even me. Like, they have a lot of things that make them better than the vanilla Marines, which there's somebody walking around behind me. Anyway, better than vanilla Marines with the everyone gets a force weapon and Terminators with grenades and Paladins in general and Purifiers with that crazy everybody gets wounded on a 4-up and Psychotrope grenades and Inquisition groups that have like 3-up save and melt-a-guns if you want to pay the points, and the Assassins, and see, now it sounds like I'm saying that they're really overpowered because every aspect of their army is better. But it really, if you're going to play Space Marines now, you almost might as well play Grey Knights on the grounds that they're the same flavor, just a little bit more over the, like they're in a group of guys who are like the best of the best. They're the best of the best of the best. And I haven't seen that movie in a long time. And I can't even think of what it's called right now. Will Smith is here. They made a new one recently. I haven't watched any of them since the Men in Black. That's what it is. First Men in Black. When did that come out? I'll find it soon. You're right. 1997. 97. Oh, over a decade ago. Who else remembers when that movie came out? Or remembers watching that movie? More than a decade ago. I never watched the sequels. Watching stuff like Starship Troopers taught me that don't watch sequels. They're cheap or like underproduced. I can't think of it. Underfunded. Low budget. That's the word I'm looking for. Oh, surprise, surprise, they forgot a rulebook. Oh, no, I'm kidding. But, Grey Knights. Grey Knights in 6th edition.
Oh, you're not talking about Codex.
I shouldn't. Storm Ravens shouldn't be flyers. Like, I understand how it makes sense. I just don't. And again, I don't like flyers at all. They don't really have a purpose in the game. Other than to make it more complicated. So I've been reading a lot of the basic strategies on Warhammer Fantasy. One of the forum posts on the MiniWarGaming website, put up by someone named Tada. Really good stuff. Basically goes over every aspect of fantasy and how to play. Not only how to play, but what you should do with the things that are in the game. And it's great. There's lots of commentary on here that goes over pretty much all of the different kind of strategies that you can go through. Here, I'll give you some examples here. I know you can read it, and yeah. Anyway, an example. Cavalry. Cavalry's your speed. People are saying cavalry's junk in 8th edition. Its role has changed. Basically saying here, armies that lack war machines, it's going to become important because you need to cross that ground, get rid of those. Avoid fire, like heavy cavalry is better than normal cavalry, best flanks. The only thing they have is steadfast is an issue, which I've personally run into a bunch, in that my cold ones, who are getting there, are really, they can come in and they'll kill a good 10, 15 guys, but